Alright, so we have these new two new instruments going to be going into our 1A2 next week. So we wanted to give a brief indication or a brief introduction to the new instruments. These are the Garmin G5s. They're basically both the same units. On the front panel, we're going to show you that it's only got a couple little buttons on it. This is the on and off button. To turn it on, you would just hit it once. To turn it off, you hold it in for 5 seconds and it goes away. There is an SD slot right in here, and that's going to be used for if we have to do any programming updates and that, or it can be used to capture data of some kind. There is a little indicator, a little sensor here that checks for background light, and it automatically adjusts the backlighting of the instrument. There is a way to manually adjust that, but that's in the manual. I'll leave that for you. The menu items, if you push this button, you get the menu items. You can see you can set up to the barometric pressure that you adjust before you take off. To change it on here, you select it again, and then you can watch the barometric pressure changing here. To open it back up again, let's say I wanted to change the altitude heading bug. That's what this is going to do. I can change the heading bug. The number is up here, and you can see the bug on our tape here for altitude. So I'll get it back down to 3,500. The heading indicator is really a function on HSI, so I'll talk about that in a little bit. And we can make this an HSI by just going onto that and pressing the button. Now, according to the manual, we may not have that function on the PFD to make it an HSI. There's got to be certain things hooked to it, and I don't know what ours will be hooked up as, but right now we're going to assume that we're going to just use it as a PFD. On the HSI, I'll show you what the buttons are on there too. Again, we can change the heading, and this is just changing the heading bug. You can see I'm changing the heading to, let's say, 20 degrees, and you can see the heading bug. This right now is just going to be used to help us remember our headings. Eventually, if we do have autopilot, it can be used to drive the autopilot. You can see our course meter in here, and that's this HSI arrow. I have it right now. I'm on an approach into runway 36 into Buffalo, and that's my course. You can see I'm a little left of course. I need to move over a little bit. You see the 5 dots that are just like on any other CDI indicator. Each dot is 2 degrees. And let's see what else I want to show you on here. There's this bearing pointer, and I don't know what that is. It'll give you all something to research later. If your PFD ever dies, that's probably the more important instrument. We can make the HSI a PFD. And it's just by hitting that button like that. Alright, so I'm going to go around PFD and try to point out some of the things on there. First of all, we'll see this airspeed tape here, and it gives us our airspeed that we're going right now at 92 knots airspeed. You can see the different color codes, and they kind of line up with the same color codes on our airspeed indicator, so we know when we're at stall speed, and that it turns orange when we go over speed and or caution area. So the attitude indicator, you can see it looks a little different than what the attitude indicator was. You can see our different pitch markings here. Usually when I take off for reference, I pop this. This is our airplane indication. It's down in the brown now because I'm going down on our approach into Buffalo, but I would usually pull this up to about 10 degrees pitch, and then that gets me to about 73 knots on our 172. So the slip skid indicator is right down here. Again, you step on the ball to center that. We have a ground speed indicator showing up here right away. There's our barometric pressure I was telling you about before. Our altitude is here. You see the heading bug I had set there again, here and here. It shows our altitude in digital. The selected altitude, that's what I'm talking about before. That's what I set to 3,500. Shows our current heading. Right now I'm at 001 degrees. If this thing were to lose electrical power, a battery symbol shows up over here, and it'll be in green bars to start with. and it'll go to like yellow and red when it's running out of power. It's supposed to have a 4-hour backup battery, and it'll also show the time left on the batteries. It alternates between the green bars and the time that's left on there. Turn rate coordinator. We can see that right here. You see the magenta line here. That's if you're turning left and you line that magenta out to this bar, that's standard rate turn, or this way to the right, standard rate turn. Vertical speed. This is probably the toughest one to see on the camera. It's fairly visible here, but it replaces our vertical speed indicator in the panel, and it'll put a little magenta line here. You can see a little dot that's going down. That's because I'm going down about 300 feet per minute. If it goes down to this 10, that's 1,000 feet per minute, and so on. So it'll be just this little red or little magenta line on the right side. The other thing that's important on here, I want to make this an HSI again. You can see that we're showing a GPS heading here because I have this on GPS. If we have the nav GPS switch in the wrong position, you're going to have usually a nav here, but right now it's on the locator. But you need to make sure you're on the nav or on the GPS position instead of nav, just like you do when you're using a VOR versus a GPS. You can see some of the indications here. I'm on the approach in the Buffalo, and this shows our vertical guidance. I'm on the RNAV approach in the 3.6, and you can see I'm on course on our way down, and I'm a little left to target here. So between these two, this is gonna, you keep these centered, and it should get us right to the airport. It shows the destination nautical miles here. That's 2.5 miles, but that's to our next fix, which is Yabfee. Then after that, this is our final approach fix, and after that, it'll show the distance to the runway. But it's kind of neat having that destination distance right there too. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the pause off here and kind of see how this runs. Okay, now don't use me for guidance on shooting approaches, but you can see how I'm going to just do some weird maneuvers so you can see how things act. You can see our vertical speed here. I'm going down close to 1,000 feet per minute. I can bring us back in here. You can see the attitude indicator here, if you keep that centered. What else I can show you? We're going to go probably up to, let's say, 5 to 10 degrees on climb out. So it's just, this is basically what I wanted to show you as a brief introduction to the two G5s. If you have any questions, you can first start out and look on the manual that's on a link. There's a link on Aircraft Clubs to the G5 manuals. And if you'd like to actually fly it on the simulator here, just give me a call and we can set up a time where you can come in and look at these and try them out. So, all right, thank you.